Hello, hi, good afternoon, everyone. Very sorry to keep you, just a few technical glitches. We're pretty much over now. With this session, we're going to be talking you through a little bit about audience profiling, variables, conditioning, and how we can utilize Articulate Storyline to help make some of our training courses a little bit effective and a little bit more relevant. We're here presenting today from Omniplex. My name's Stephen Miller. I'm the sales manager with Omniplex. Co-presenting with me is Georgina Hamblin, business development executive. And what we're going to talk about today is the fact that a lot of us will be used to e-learning courses where one size fits all across the board, regardless of the audience. And all students have to follow this linear process in a straight line through their training content. But what we've got to ask is, how can we make this e-learning more effective? And how can we increase the relevance to particular students? And the key word there is the relevance. How can we deliver material that is specific to them and create paths through e-learning which focus on, again, relevant material? So in this session, we're going to take you through a few techniques that can help you do that. The first part will be setting up audience profiling. Second part will be using variables to identify different audience profiles. The third part alongside that will be setting conditions, and this is to provide custom paths to deliver custom materials. First and foremost, let me briefly tell you a little bit about Omniplex so I can put a little bit of validity behind today's presentation. Omniplex are an e-learning solutions provider. We are a consultancy who partner with some of the leading e-learning solutions available on the market. We have over 20 years e-learning experience, and our product portfolio and services all follow the ethos of being innovative, easy to use, affordable products. We also partner with award-winning products across the board, and I'm sure many of you are familiar with Articulate in particular, and they are one of the key partnerships that we have within the UK and within Europe. Our service and support is what sets us apart as well, UK-based technical support, our flexibility in terms of finding requirements that fit our clients' goals, but also a consultative approach, really understanding our clients' needs and delivering the right outcome to fit those needs. Some of the products we partner with, I've already mentioned Articulate Storyline. We are one of their UK partners. We also provide learning management systems, innovative, brandable, easy to use learning management systems as part of our portfolio. A large part of our operating standards are our training offerings. We are the sole Articulate certified training provider in Europe. Fortnightly, we provide open enrollment training sessions for our clients to attend, but every week our trainers are on site delivering training to our client base. And a lot of the theory behind today's session is based on feedback that we've had from some of those training sessions with our clients. Alongside that as well is our content development offering as well. And again, we'll be using Storyline and dipping into Storyline during this session to show you a little bit about what we've discovered in terms of variables and conditions from our experience developing content using Storyline. And just to give you an example of some of our clients who we've worked with recently, and this is across a range of authoring solutions, consultative work, training requirements, and also learning management systems. We're not here necessarily to reflect on any of those in more detail, but if you'd like to know more about particular case studies, we'd be happy to help. So onto the meat of today's session. How do you solve a problem like one size fits all in terms of our training content? As I've mentioned at Omniplex, we run an awful lot of training courses showing people how to use e-learning products, e-learning solutions like Articulate Studio, Storyline, but we also run training courses considering some of the design elements of e-learning and design considerations, an instructional design training course essentially. And within these training courses, we often ask, what are the things that make e-learning really engaging? And of course, naturally, aspects such as design interactivity, video elements, audio will be top on the list and will come up a lot as one of those key points. But one of the striking themes that we've seen that's come up most recently is relevancy. Relevancy to the target audience and making effective e-learning training courses through relevancy. E-learning has to be relevant to the individual for it to be successful and effective. And as I mentioned, this is a significant theme and feedback that we've had back from our clients on these training courses and as part of our content development projects. Common complaints that I'm sure many of you have come across with regards to e-learning from your employees, from your staff, your students, will this be this one-size-fits-all concept? So regardless of the skill set or the skills experience of the person, the student, the employee, they're required to sit exactly the same course through the linear process. So for example, an employee within the organisation who's got 20 years relevant skills experience will be forced to sit through exactly the same training course, training concept as someone who has just started the organisation. This linear approach leads to, quite often will lead to resistance to the training, resistance to e-learning and a poor perception of e-learning within the organisation. So we need to ask ourselves, what can we do to help combat this? And how can we make our e-learning more relevant to the target audience? So we're going to look at some practical tools which you can use to make e-learning a little bit more relevant, utilising Storyline. First of all, we need to ask, who are our audience? And how can we use our audience profiling to better understand the individuals, the group, and their needs? We're going to look at features contained in modern authoring tools like Storyline that enables us to tailor the e-learning experience for each individual group. So within Storyline, there are a variety of powerful tools, such as variables and conditions that we can use to adapt course material to different audiences. Just before we go any further, it's worth defining those two terms, variables and conditions, just to make it more relevant to what we'll show you in the next 10-15 minutes. So of course, a variable allows us to store information which may vary, hence the name, hence the term variable. It could be something as simple as a page count, or it could be some information about the student, about the employee, such as their job role, their number of years working for the organisation, whatever it may be. Now, conditionality allows us to take action based on the value of the variable. Therefore, if someone has job role 1, then do this. And the do this function could be go to this page, show this information, take part in this quiz element, whatever it might be. Now, when we look at this approach, this means that if someone has that 20 years skills experience within the workplace, we don't then need to force them to sit through the same, maybe basic concept training material that would be more applicable for a new starter to sit through. So what we're going to look at in further detail is the process of how we can use audience profiling, variables and conditions to create learning targeted at specific groups. And of course, this audience profiling will help us to determine who are our target groups. Furthermore, we can then use these variables and conditions to customize the learning. So let's look at audience profiling in a little bit more detail. So audience profiling is the process of separating our potential target audience into distinct groups with specific characteristics. So this is similar to market segmentation. This market segmentation enables organizations to focus their marketing efforts on specific customers by dividing the market up into very distinct groups. The organizations build up a profile of the customer groups with certain characteristics so that they can then target certain marketing messages more accurately rather than address just the entire market. So we've got to think about how we can utilize this theory within e-learning. And an example of this recently went into a restaurant group that is owned by a brewery firm, and they define one of their target groups as nervous eaters. So these are the group's characteristics are that these individuals like to spend good money on good quality food, but they don't like food that is too challenging. So in accordance with that profiling, the company has used this definition to produce a section of its menu which is priced upwardly, but only features safe, familiar recipes for those particular clients in that particular group. So why not use a similar process in e-learning? So often when we ask our subject matter experts, who are the audience for this course, quite often the SME will respond, well, it's everybody in the company, isn't it? However, that response, while it can be quite common, it really doesn't help us in marshalling our course material. The result is that all the material is sent and viewed by all the learners. So we need to work with the SME to identify key groups within our target audience, and this is very much how our developers will work closely with our clients. Once we've done that, we can start to assign different characteristics to each of these groups. The groups are, by definition, generalizations, but these generalizations can help illuminate differences between potential audience sectors. What I'm going to do now is hand over to Georgina, who's going to take you through a few specific examples and have a look at storyline in a little bit more detail.
Hello, can you hear me okay? Perfect. So now, hopefully, I'm going to take you through the fun part. Not that that wasn't fun, Stephen. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at a specific example. So we're going to take something that a lot of you will have had to do before, so a manual handling course, and we're going to look at this and we're going to see how you can take a course like this, work with your subject matter expert, and divide it into 3 different groups that are going to be likely to taking the course. So the first one that we've got as a group is people who have been working in the warehouse as a career, so people who've been working there for a long time. The second group that we've got is casual workers, people who are there for a shorter period of time. And the third is new starters, so people that are completely new to this process and to the business. And the first thing we need to do is start by giving each of these groups a name. And the idea of a name is to kind of really crystallize in your mind who that group is and who's going to be in it. So what we're going to do is we're going to give them names. So the old timers are going to be the old lags. The people who are temporary are going to be the here-todays, and the newbies are going to be the bright eyes. So we've got our 3 different names. And now once we've got these names for the groups, we're going to assign them characteristics. And these are going to be generalizations, but they're going to help us in terms of what content we need to give to these different groups. So first, if we start off with the old lags, we've got a few characteristics here. So maybe they've been working there for a long time, they think they know it all, they've had training before, and they may be slightly resistant to learning, so we may need to persuade them a little bit that this is actually going to be relevant to them. We've also got our here-todays. So they're going to be more temporary. They may vary in ability, and they may lack motivation to learn because they're not going to be there for a long time and they don't see it as a career. So we need to motivate them to learn. And thirdly, we've got our bright eyes. Now, hopefully, they will be quite enthusiastic, and we're not going to have to spend as much time persuading them to learn. They're going to want to know this kind of stuff anyway. So let's think about how this is actually going to translate into a course. So what we've done here is we've got a course storyboard, and what you'll notice is we've got our intro, and then we've got our basics of handling, and they're the same, they're universal for everyone. But what we've also got, and where it differs, is we've got different information for the old lags and the here today, so they've got an additional piece. And what we've done is, for the old lags, we're going to have a bit of a war story, so someone who's been there a long time, maybe someone who's had back problems because they haven't been doing things properly, and someone that we hope that they are going to empathize with and sort of, I guess, share their experience. And then for our here-todays, we want a similar message. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a message from someone they can relate to that emphasizes if they're doing it incorrectly, they could have their contract reviewed. So we're playing to things that are going to be important for each of them. So we've built up our audience profiles, and we're going to take a small section of the course looking at the tools we've got available. So we're using Articulate Storyline here, and we're going to look at how we can use variables, conditions, and layers with specific information to customize the navigation and their experience through the course. So if we move into storyline, we'll see how this can be done. So here is our safe manual handling course, and it's got some sort of grabbing questions at the beginning. So, you know, some statistics about accidents, information about accident prevention, and then we've got this section. So we can't say to people, are you an old lag? Are you temporary? You know, how much do you care? So what we're doing is we're actually using generic questions about how long they've been at the company, whether they're temporary or permanent, to determine which pages they see. So I'm going to take you through the 3 different examples and show you how this is going to look. So let's say we've only been there 0 to 2 years and we are permanent. So I press submit. What you'll see is we've got our sort of young permanent employee, and it's telling them it's going to help them with their career. So it's really focusing on them wanting to learn because of their career. And then it's going to take them straight through the content, the basics of lifting. There's no more information here. And then if we go back to the beginning again, we're going to go through the same course. But this time we're going to make it a bit different. So let's make this person temporary. So we're not bright eyes anymore. We're here today. We've got our here today image. And it's saying that we need to do it for our own protection. And this time, we go through and we've got an additional bit before the training, and it's, again, someone that we hope they can relate to, who's worked in a warehouse, and they're going to be telling us their story about why this training was important. And again, we've got the course. And if we go back one final time, and I'll just show you again sort of how this looks, we're going to take someone who's been there for 10 plus years, they're permanent, press submit. And there you go, you can see we've got our kind of old lag, and it's saying, actually, this is going to be a refresher. We know you know it already, but here's a refresher. We've also got a sort of George's story, so it's going to be his kind of story for someone who worked in the warehouse for a long time, someone that they can empathize with, and then we go through to the main body of the course. So you can see how we've got one course, and we've branched it off in 3 different directions based on those 2 different questions and the variables and conditions that we've set upon those various questions. So how do we do it? Right, well, I'm going to pop into storyline and hopefully give you a little bit of an overview as to how we can do something like this. So if we start off by going into this question, you'll notice the beginning of the course is going to be the same for everyone. So what we've got here is we've got 2 questions. We've got a question about how long you've been in the company and a question about your work status. And these are going to affect 2 different variables. So we've got company status, which is temp or permanent, and company is how long you've been in the company. And those are the 2 different types of variables. So we've got a numeric variable and a true-false variable there. So that's what this section of the course is doing. And when you select these, it assigns you, and you can see I've got it written down here, it assigns you to a different job role. So depending on the combination of these 2 variables, you'll be assigned bright eyes, here today's, and old lags. And we've put the job roles in here as 1, 2, or 3. And you can see, if you're interested in triggers and things in more detail, you can see what we've actually done over here on the edge. So if we go back to story view, and we'll go into the next slide. So what we've done on this slide is, depending on those variables, we've set conditions as to which part of the slide to. So we've got several layers here. We've got our bright eyes layer, our here today's layer, and our old lags layer. And that will, if we go to this page, you'll see, oh, 1 second, you can see it saying, look, show the bright eyes layer if your job role is equal to 1. So if you're a bright eye, you should go to this layer. If we go down to this section as well, you can see, again, what we've done is we've got branching depending on what your job role is. So again, we've used those same conditions based on the variables to determine where people are going in the actual course itself. So I guess just to kind of summarize, those are 2 kind of small examples of what you could do. You could do this multiple times in a course. You could do it for a whole host of different reasons as well. And it doesn't just have to be a layer that's changed or a branch that's changed. It could determine the questions they get asked or the quiz that they do. So you've got a whole host of possibilities there. But hopefully hopefully it's given you an insight into how authoring tools like Storyline can be used in quite a straightforward way to customize material for specific groups. So I'm going to pass you back over to Stephen.
So that just about wraps up. Oops, sorry, let me go back a little bit. That just about wraps up what we were going to talk through in today's session. If there are any questions at all on what we've taken you through, and you'd like to talk to us in a little bit more detail about conditions, variables, anything about Storyline in more detail, or just generally about Omniplex in greater depth, that would be great. And hopefully what we've demonstrated is just a very simple and quick way to improve effectiveness within your training within certain groups by using the profiling method that we've just explained, and just utilizing those very simple to pick up and easy to use triggers, states, and layers within the Storyline software that's ready to use from the time you install it. Contact details are there. Please do feel free to come and have a chat with us if you've got any questions. We'd be more than happy to talk to you. And thank you very much for your time. Thank you.